You ready?
We already recorded.
Oh.
It's begun.
Welcome to another episode of Cleaning and Cocktails. Remember what I said? I was going to do things a little different season 3. Well, this is a little different here, right? We wanted to meet people where they are. And I have the pleasure of introducing our guest today, Mary Miller, who is the owner of JANCOA, my coach at Strategic Coach. And she happened to be in town here in Chicago to do the coaching that she has to do. She comes here all the time to do it. You jumped at it, but I literally, so everybody knows. So Michelle, I know I throw things at you all the time, but I asked her on Monday, we're here, Wednesday, doing it. So I'm sorry. I know scheduling and preparation is something I'm learning as Strategic Coach, but I couldn't pass up the offer.
Oh, thank you.
I couldn't pass up the opportunity.
I appreciate that.
To
Thank
bring
you.
you on, Mary. So I want to say thank you for taking the time out. Because again, you're here, you're busy, you're working, you're being productive with your time. And you're spending it here with us. So thank you so much.
Well, the cleaning industry has been very, very good to me. So if I can express some of the lessons that we've learned over the years to help others, that's really what my mission is.
All right. And I also want to say she did not hesitate when I told her there was cocktails involved. So thank you to our sponsors at Casa Azul. Today we're drinking grapefruit, right? She was going to drink wine, but she saw these and said, I'm going to try these out.
I'm going to try the peach mango.
All right, so let's open it up. Cheers to you.
Cheers.
Cheers to us, and cheers to you guys out there watching and listening.
Cheers.
All right. So we got some.
It's tasty.
It's tasty, right? It's
Yeah.
got a kick there too.
Yeah.
So lots to cover. Again, it's a unique opportunity that I have here with Mary, you guys, is she has been part of the cleaning industry for over 35 years. We're going to get into all that. But as you see behind us here, and you'll see in some other shots, we're at the headquarters of Strategic Coach here in Chicago, which I've been a part of the program. I know some other fellow cleaning business owners have been part of the program. Mary has been in the program for 35 years. She's got a lot to share, a lot of nuggets. I'm not a pen and paper guy, but I would take out a pen and paper and take some notes. So Mary, let's start first with, because cleaning and cocktails, let's start with JANCOA and the cleaning industry. How did you and Tony and the family get into the cleaning industry?
Okay. Tony started JANCOA when he was 19 years old. He was attending University of Cincinnati, and his economics professor casually mentioned outsourcing service work was going to grow big. This was like in 1969. And around that time, he realized how dirty the bar floors were. And he said it smelled like money to him.
Smelled and looked.
So as a college student looking for ways to pay his bar tab, he started cleaning the bars around the university campus. And so that helped him a lot. A couple years into that, his father had to have heart surgery and he didn't survive. So the only thing Tony knew was cleaning. So he left university, his senior year of school, and took that cleaning of bars and made it JANCOA to support his mom and 3 siblings. So that was in 1972 when it became a real business and incorporated.
Now, what does JANCOA stand for?
Now, that depends on which mood Tony's in. There's multiple stories, but the one he would tell if he just doesn't interested in going deep, he'll just say, it's an abbreviation for Janitor Company of America, JANCOA.
Okay.
But the reality is his father owned a business and it was JANCO. And he just added an A at the end. So it's JANCOA.
Nice.
So yeah, there's some deep meaning behind that.
Yeah, always. Especially having the business for 35 years. More,
absolutely.
Right?
So Tony and I got together and got married in 1991. And we're both on our third marriage. We know totally what doesn't work.
You got that down.
We got that down. We'll be married 32 years next month.
Wow.
Yeah, actually in just 2 weeks.
You just have some early mistakes. That's all.
Yeah. We had to have some dress rehearsals. Not many times do we get a dress rehearsal in life, but we jumped at that opportunity. And in 93, my boss, I was in sales. I've been in sales most of my life. And some say I'm still in sales, but we decided to put our energies together. You know, the definition for an entrepreneur, when an entrepreneur does something, is when frustration, the pain from the frustration is so great, we're ready to make a change because we don't want to deal with that anymore. It's more painful to deal with it. So you go ahead and do something different. And my boss was changing my work schedule and wanted me to work on Sundays. And that was our only family day, was on Sundays. So he said, it's time for you to quit and join the family business. Well, you know, janitorial, when you're starting, Tony had 65 part-time employees, and our part-time employees only came to work part of the time. So there was a high level of frustration there. And I was actually making more money than Tony was bringing home because he kept putting the money in the business. So it was a leap of faith to be able to make that happen.
Do you think, so Tony's doing it on his own. He's building it, 65 part-time employees. You come into the picture. You know, my story being family business too. Do you feel that it takes a partner, or it takes that other person, whether it's family or not, but like two people, right? Two brains is better than one, but especially in small business. What do you think?
I think you need to know your strengths. And sometimes, especially when you're just starting out, you don't have the capital to bring on all the team that you need. So you literally wear a lot of hats trying to make things happen. So when you can find somebody you can trust, and that's why family businesses are so powerful, the family will step in, even if they don't want to. They don't want to see you going through it. Most of the time. So that really worked well for us. But what we've realized as we've grown, the book that Dan wrote on Who Not How was huge for us. And our story's actually in that book because of the difference as we start growing and bringing on the right people to do the work that needed to be done so it could be done right and efficiently and make us a better company.
So you gave me the segue, right? You guys, I said we're going to talk about strategic coach. So we're going to go back and forth. We're going to go because...
Well, I'm one person with one life, but they're both integrated. Tony and I have been married for 32 years, August the 8th, and we've been part of strategic coach for 32 years.
That's what I was going to say. It's so intertwined, right? Like you just said, and earlier you had told me you're covered here. Your story is in a lot of these books. So it's like it's going to come easy to talk about it.
Yes.
So, but you just touched on the who, not how. And again, maybe let's take a step back real quick.
Okay.
For those that don't know, and again, for everybody listening, right? You're a small business owner. Most of our listeners they want to grow their business. They just started. They're excited. They're hungry, or they're hitting a reset and they're taking a look at the business now and saying, how am I going to scale and get to the next level? So with all that being said, you're going to hear a lot of tips and strategies that we're going to talk about, and Mary's going to show, because again, you guys, these are shared experiences because you've gone through a lot of these yourselves.
Absolutely.
So we're going to touch on a lot of them. So let's touch the who, not how, right?
Okay.
What does that mean? I know there's a book on it. We got it here, right?
Yep, it's right there on your left hand.
It's right here on my left hand.
Yep, yellow.
What is the cliff note of that for somebody to understand why that's so important to understand in their business?
Well, I think every entrepreneur and business person really can remember a time where you had a great idea. You might even be able to relate to this with all your millions of great ideas. And there's times where you think, oh, how am I going to ever do that? And it really it sucks all the energy out of the room because you're not sure, because you got all these other things you're working on too. Well, what Dan talks about in Who Not How, instead of trying to figure out how immediately, who's the person that I need to make sure this happens and happens right? And it excels our company and it makes us a better company and more profitable. Because why put all the work in if you're not going to be profitable in the process? And it makes a huge difference. It's helped us with collaborations with other people, with vendors and different things as we work on projects, but it's really helped us build our team. Example, My son-in-law, who's now the COO, see, what Ricky didn't mention is we have transitioned to the second generation.
Oh, yeah. We're going to get there.
Okay.
Yes, that's question number 3. No,
Okay.
go ahead.
My son-in-law started with us probably 12 years ago. And the reason he started is I realized I was actually attending a different workshop in Chicago and found out I'm not a salesperson. I had been faking it, trying to make it, but I'm an amazing ambassador. And that works really well. Different talents, different skills. We needed somebody who was a hunter to find the kind of customers we wanted to do business with, and a closer to be able to get that contract. Different skills, different
we literally
capabilities.
were just talking about that.
So we were having this conversation, actually, Tony, me, Christy, our daughter, who's married to Clint, and all of a sudden Tony says, well, we need a hunter and a closer. And Clint he was in a different job that wasn't going well. He needs something different to sell. You come join JANCOA. And we all looked at each other like, what? Yeah. And he's been awesome. And at one point, a few years into it, he wanted to make sure that our operations was doing what we told people we did. So then he raised his hand and said, we need a manager of operations.
The integrity. Okay.
Yeah.
Which is very important.
For all you business owners, if you're looking for somebody to run your operations, make sure you find a Clint, somebody who wants to make sure you're doing what you tell people you do and are profitable in the process. Because those have to link together.
We got to talk to Clint.
Yeah, I think that would be good.
All right. So, all right, again, the who,
yes,
not the how. We do get sucked in sometimes, right? An idea pops up, me many times, and I'm so worried about how am I going to execute on that idea. Without knowing, I just put myself in the who seat. But it's like, it's not about, it can't be you all the time.
It's
right?
automatic.
Yeah.
We don't even think about it. Because when we start, we're a rugged individualist and we're used to having to do it by yourself. And we don't know who to give it to help make things happen. Yeah. So it's really autopilot without even thinking about it. You have to pause a bit, which I say at these workshops all the time, to have 4 days a year to pause, reflect, and plan helps keep you from just keep moving forward and keep doing the same things, whether it's right or not.
Yeah.
But to be able to determine what's working and what's not working and adjust accordingly.
Yep. So I do this all the time. I realize that we're going to have to take a step back because we didn't even jump into introducing strategic coach. We just jumped right into cleaning and functionality and strategy. So step back. Like if you could do the rewind, Jesus, on that, do that edit. No. Mary, to those that don't know, strategic coach, like when did it came into your life 35 years ago?
Actually, 1989 is when Dan went from one-on-one coaching and he had hit that ceiling of complexity. We've all been there as business owners where you just keep working as hard as you can and you're hitting the ceiling. You're not getting different results. He was booked up. He couldn't book any more appointments, but he wasn't at the level of revenue he wanted to be at or the quality of life. And him and his partner, Babs, decided to try the workshop model in 1989. My husband was a client in 1990, and I joined in 1991.
Year 2, year 3.
Exactly.
Wow.
So we knew a good idea when we saw it. So now 32 years as a client, we've seen the difference in Dan and Babs. A strategic coach is structured intentionally to work with already successful entrepreneurs. Now, the minimum revenue to qualify, you have to qualify to be part of the program. You have to make at least $200,000 annual. And that's personal net income. Because we can't coach you and help you and give you ideas and help you with building the right team if you can't afford it. So we don't want to create hardship for clients. We want to create opportunities to improve your quality of life. So there's a lot of clients, thousands of clients that have come through Strategic Coach, and probably even more that are working to try to qualify to become a client in Strategic Coach.
Yeah.
And the whole process is once a quarter, you go to a workshop, whether it's Chicago, Toronto, LA, and you go to the workshop to pause, reflect on the last 90 days, and plan for the next 90 days. Yep. And so you stop that revolving door of keep doing the same thing and nothing works by pausing and intentional choices of what you're going to do next to get to the results.
So I'm going to share something personal.
Okay.
Right, that Mary yelled at me a little while ago.
I don't yell.
No, she didn't yell. She didn't yell. She scolded me. And I want to talk about this to get people prepared. You know, like, because I wasn't the first session. Remember, like I told you, is you guys like this is a commitment. I was skeptical the first time. I had heard about strategic coach. I had not invested in myself to that point like it takes to invest here, right?
Right.
Like, you really have to shut it off. I didn't the first time. Second time, I did. I took a lot out of it. This most recent time, which was just Monday, other than 1 hour, which is when I got scolded. Don't blame John Barrett for that. But I had to take a call. But she's like, Rick, prepare though. Like, I knew the day was, my workshop was Monday. I already knew that it was. It was on the calendar. It was
right.
There. Commit the entire day for that. Because then you get a lot out of it, right? Mm-hmm. So, like you said, I remember one of the workbooks, or on the top corner, I think it's called The Entrepreneurial Mindset, right? So what I want to jump into, Mary, because this is, again, I'm struggling with this, but I see why the importance is, and I'm getting there. We talked about my buffer day.
Change is not easy.
No. So buffer day, free day. What is the concept of the buffer days, the free days? Like that one, the first time I didn't get it. The second time I understood. The third time I'm like, damn, I really need this.
The first thing we talk about is how do you spend your time? Because as entrepreneurs, we just keep moving. We don't pause or slow down most of the time. So what we do is we start with this entrepreneurial time system. It's not time management.
Yeah,
it's entrepreneurial time system.
Yes.
So it all starts with free days where you take 24 hours, midnight to midnight, with no work whatsoever, so that your body and mind can recover and you can have a life outside of work. You know, most family businesses...
See Ricky shaking his head?
Yeah. Most family businesses, if they fail, it's because they're working so hard and working each other so hard that they lose that family connection. Oh. And a lot of divorces happen because they lose that quality of life, because the business gets so consumed.
It sucks.
Our business is 24/7, right? Yeah. So when do you stop? The who, not how. You build a team so that you can stop and take time off to make sure you're taking care of yourself. And then the focus days are when you're spending 80% of your time on money-making activities, doing the things you love to do. Me, I love meeting new people and networking and connecting with people and sharing the story of JANCOA. But it was one of those things that I couldn't do that if I was still in the operations in the office. Yeah. I was, doing the accounting and all the different things that had to be done. I had to build the team first to get to the point to be able to do that. Mm-hmm. So you have to, when you're coming here, you're realizing this is where I'm at. All growth begins with telling the truth. This is where I want to be. And how do I get from here to there? And start developing a plan. And the buffer days are the days you use to help put your plan together. Your buffer days you use to plan the focus days, set appointments with your top 20 clients, the people that are going to pay you in the next 90 days. Cash flow is really important. Yeah. It is king. Or your farm club. Yeah. And then the farm club are prospects.
Explain the farm club.
So the top 20 in farm club, that's how you make sure that you have short-term cash flow within the next 90 days or long-term cash flow that you're working on beyond that 90 days. Because we all know in our industry, things change.
And sales cycles are long.
Oh, my goodness. And we realize when we look at our accounting list each year, the number of businesses that have changed names over the past few years, changed ownership, property managers that have jumped ship. All the time. Yeah. So you have to build those relationships so they want to take you with them. Yep. And that's been a huge success for JANCOA. You mentioned earlier when I started, we had 65 part-time employees. And today we have about 600 full-time employees and about 85% market share in the Cincinnati region. And we're only in Cincinnati. And that's a business model we intentionally did based on our learning here at Strategic Coach. We wanted great free days, focus days, and buffer days, and we wanted to do it with our family.
And do you say? Because I think remember I asked you this question too. Is that also in the plan for the team members and the employees, like to get them to that point too? Right? We're not in the business of working 12-hour days.
We call our team members family members, and we do that for all of our events. and celebrations. And it's been, for us, it works because it's not just a word or a phrase. We treat people that way. We respect them on their time off and not call them at any given time or day. Yeah, something Ricky might want to work on.
But
you got to
text you guys.
Right
I don't text you guys on a Saturday at 11:30 at night. Never. Come on.
Yeah, it's progress, not perfection.
Yeah.
You learn different ways to do things. Yeah. And when you take that time to think about it and what you really want, it makes a difference.
Right. You got to always be working on it.
We celebrate our team's birthdays, their anniversaries, and we really try to help them improve the quality of life.
Yeah.
And that makes a huge difference on the results when you have that connection.
So now, since we're talking about the team and the family, because I think you have it on your side, there's a book on your family, your business, JANCOA, Mary, you yourself, Dream Manager, you guys. I know there's a lot of us in the industry that know what Dream Manager is, but
we'll put that there.
This is Dream Manager here, right? So
yeah.
let's talk before we go to a break, because I think this is so important. But I also want to dig a little deep, Mary, if we can too. It's one thing to read the book and know that you need this type, or it's a great concept to incorporate in your business, but like
it's a culture shift.
How did it come about, and then how did you implement?
It's a complete culture shift, and it was back. I started with Tony, I said, in 93. Around 95, I'd gotten to know the business a bit. Went to my first BSCAI show at that time in 95, I think it was in Atlanta. Mm-hmm. And I met this consultant. His name was Bob. And I hired him. I hired him to come to Cincinnati to work with us for a week. And Bob was our answer. He was like, he was going to come and fix it all. He was going to help us be more efficient, to be profitable, and do all the things that we wanted to do. And the second day of the 5-day contract, he fired us. He said he couldn't help us.
Oh, wow.
He said we had this people problem. And it wasn't that our people were a problem. It was that we didn't have enough people. Mm. You can relate to that, can't you?
Yeah, every day.
It's something that happens, right?
People.
And we were an average business. Our turnover was 400%, like so many of us out there. And so I thought that was okay. And so we had to change. And based on my experience with Strategic Coach, I started asking different questions. I started asking, what did we have to do to create an environment that would attract people? If they want to be in this industry, why would they choose JANCOA? Mm-hmm. And if we wanted them to stay 3 to 5 years so we could get a return on that investment, because we were already doing full-time, doing training, background checks, drug tests, benefits, health insurance, 401k. It's expensive when you lose people really fast all the time.
People don't understand. You don't see it. You don't understand it.
No.
Right?
No, it was crazy. So we start really looking at what we did. The first step was looked at our top 10 employees, the employees that everybody would want to clone. You all have them. Mm-hmm. Who do you want to clone?
I need 4 of those, 3 of him.
Exactly.
I don't need any more Rickies. We got 2. That's enough.
But you know what else they have in common besides working really hard? They have issues with the quality of life. Mm. And what we found is the top thing was transportation. So the first thing we did is we bought a 15-passenger van, and my husband became the driver because we didn't even have enough people to clean, let alone drive a van. And he saw where they lived. He heard them talking about their obstacles. Mm. And so we realized we needed to do something different.
That did the passenger
we picked
van.
them up. Yeah, didn't need the special license. The 15-passenger worked fine. And we picked them up and brought them to work and brought them home afterwards. And most of our people, 80% of our people, work 6 p.m. to 2:30 a.m.
So you had the shift already. So
we had the shift.
So it was logistics after that.
Yeah.
It was logistics.
It was logistics. And it was way before GPS even came out. So it was not an easy process. Yeah. It would be easier today. But what we know clearly today is we're not a transportation company. I actually served on the regional transit board in Cincinnati to try to help with the transportation since we couldn't figure that out quite ourselves. Yep. But what it did do is allowed us to see our people on the humanity level and see their quality of life and realize that if we put as much time and energy to create value for our team members like we do for our customers, that can make a shift.
Yeah.
So we helped them with transportation. We helped them get driver's license. We helped them learn financial literacy and how to create budgets. We helped them learn to speak English. or Spanish if they wanted to become dual because of the amount of different languages in our business. And a friend says, you're helping these people achieve their dreams by educating them. And we didn't do it ourselves. We connected them with programs that existed in the community.
You just offered the resources
We
and the
offered
connection.
the resources and the connection and encouragement and support to be able to make it happen. One of my favorite stories was actually 2 day porters that worked for us. We would regularly bring pizza to the different buildings we clean to have lunch at their dinner break with them or in the evening, and Coca-Cola and a pizza. It
Nothing
makes
better.
it great. Nothing better.
Pepsi
unless you can bring one of the lovely Casa Azules with you.
Cha-ching!
So we have these conversations over lunch breaks. Not a paper computer survey, real conversations and connections. And Joe was our original dream manager. And they were talking about what they were working on. And the one guy says, I love playing guitar. I love jazz music. And there's this class I really would love to take at community college, but it starts at 6. I don't get off till 5:30, and there's no way I can make it with the traffic and that. And I'm kind of bummed. And the other day porter says, how long is the class? And he says, it's 6 weeks. It's kind of long. He says, well, my shift ends at 3:30. Why don't we change shifts?
Oh, wow.
You do mine, I'll do yours for that 6 weeks so you could do your course.
You just empowered them to,
They
without
figured
having
it out
they figured
themselves,
it out.
but we brought it together by giving them a safe space to have a
Give them a safe
conversation.
space.
And that's one thing most business owners don't realize. We don't have to do it all. But if we can create an environment that makes it safe, what the Dream Manager evolved to is a culture of caring, of asking questions, to really care. Ask the questions, listen to the results, and be able to acknowledge and make sure you understand it correctly and encourage different ways to be able to make that happen. And that's where the magic happens.
When you think about
our turnover, Ricky, in 2019, pre-COVID, was 85%.
Wow.
Down from 400.
Yeah. So think about it. It's not like you didn't do rocket science work, right? You didn't do this impossible transformation. You just
It's one step at a time. Listen.
But would you say the Dream Manager is a role? It's a culture shift.
It's a culture shift. It started as a role.
Somebody has to lead that, but then others have to follow.
It was so new when we started it that we hired somebody to lead the way. And with me, this is my heart. This is my heart and soul, what I'm born to do. So there's no way it was going to fail or stop happening. Like so many projects we do in our businesses.
Yeah.
Whatever happened to that program we used to do,
We pay for it, but it's still...
it's gone. Oh crap. Yeah. Anyway, we made a difference. And what has happened, it's evolved over the years because we started that in the late 90s. And things have changed and things have shifted. And we grew to almost 600 employees. Yeah. A couple of people can't manage that.
Nope.
So we shifted it down to the managers and the area managers that work at night, helping the supervisors in the buildings. And we have these conversations, and we have the first Wednesday of every month, we have a meeting for all of our managers, and we have supervisor trainings to be able to help them understand the importance of connection and conversations with their teams. So it's now a thread woven, kind of like your blankets that's woven through.
You're being
to
it's
be
cut
able
from
to
the same cloth. Everybody coming
and
into it.
it's talked about at orientation and at training when people join so that they know about it. And they're asked, the very first question is, what is your dream?
Wow.
So that people aren't working just paycheck to paycheck, but working towards something that's important to them.
Wow.
Haley works for us. She started as a receptionist, and she had this beautiful smile. And our tag is JANCOA, exceptional service with a smile. So I always notice the smiles. Yeah. And her dream that she wrote on her orientation card was to have another child. She already had 2, to be able to own their own home, and for them to be able to have their own business. Her husband, Diego, wanted to own a bakery. And today they have 3 children. And Haley is now an HR specialist working directly for the director of HR. And Diego has his own Golden Hands Bakery. And even the Bengals football teams go there regularly to get their donuts and pretzels.
I'm thinking about you saw that when it was even a thought. and now it's a reality.
Yeah.
Right. So
You got
that
to
is-
plant seeds.
So think about that. All right. So before we go to a break, to everybody watching and listening, Mary, is there, do you have a program for Dream Manager? Is that something we could get into later on? Or
Yeah, we can go into that a little bit more later to help people, but reading the Dream Manager book will give ideas.
Okay, awesome. Well, guys, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to have a word from our sponsor, and we'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody. Again, still here with Mary, rocking and rolling on number 2. Again, thank you, Casa
Second
Azul.
drink.
Second drink. So, Mary, we ended with talking about Dream Manager, which is a perfect segue to Changing Direction, your book, your first book that you've authored. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
This is my first book, Changing Directions, 10 Choices That Impact Your Dreams. And the reason I wrote this book is because people wanted to know the backstory. How did we come up with the Dream Manager? What are the things how did we do that? So this is more of our story of JANCOA and how we came up with the concepts and what we learned through that process. Like the first chapter is about embracing change. You can't even create a dream list of 10 dreams if you're not willing to embrace change first. And we've been forced to embrace change in our industry with the economy, the pandemic, supply chain issues. There's a lot of change that's forced on us. But when we're willing personally to embrace change in our life, then we can start going after our dreams.
Yeah.
Because, if your dreams were able to be accomplished doing what you do now, they would have already been done.
No,
so you have to be willing to embrace the change first.
So Mary, talk about change, right? It's like everybody always thinks there's a blueprint. There's the roadmap to success. We can make. I just need it. Tell me what to do.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yes, I can. But there's every stage, right? So what got you at stage 1? Let's say in our industry, it's remember we talked about some stats. Just so everybody always knows, I'm a stat guy. 93% of our industry in the cleaning space doesn't hit 1 million in revenue. Right?
Yeah.
Those are some fragmented stats. So
because they can't get over the obstacles that are in their way.
Right? So there's obstacles to hit 100,000 in revenue. There's obstacles to hit 500K, 1 million, and then they're on. But how important is change or evolving? Again, you're evolving. It's an evolution, right? Because what I want to get to is some of these scores that you guys help me understand, right? Because I think everybody thinks it's about, there's a certain formula. Formulas are great, but in business and in the human component, it doesn't always happen.
And I think the formulas is very true, but I think there's a large part that we think if we work harder, we can make it work. We just need to work harder. But there's only 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Yeah. There's only so much that we can physically do before our body will just give out on us. Mm-hmm. So it's really important that we know ourselves, that we're allowing ourselves to do the who, not how, but that you do have a plan of where do you want to be. If you ask yourself, if it was already, right now we're in 2023, if it was 2026, 3 years from now, what do you want your life to look like? Create a vision and then reverse engineer that so that you can get to where you want to be. And you're just not 3 years from now, you're thinking, geez, my life is no different than it was 2023.
sometimes we put people in the wrong role with our
Yes.
companies, with our business, right?
Yes.
Or sometimes family doesn't get along. Again, it's not, let's take emotion out.
Yes.
It's not emotional or, that
And that's the
biased
best part.
opinion. This is
Get you through that.
It's how you think.
Yeah.
That's why you butt heads.
Yeah.
It's not because you don't like each other. It's
Yeah.
you weren't meant to work with each other.
We think that everybody can, because some things come so easy to us, we think anybody can do that and do it the same way we would do it.
Mm-hmm.
I have one of my children, he's not so children anymore, he's an adult, he's a 41-year-old man, and he's got this amazing memory, and he's absolutely sharp as a whip. He had gone to aerospace engineering school, and he'll say, Mom, this and this and this. I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about.
I don't know, Mom.
I have written a book. I've got a great business. I've got lots of awards, but I have no idea what you're talking about.
That's hilarious.
And we all have family members like that we all have different strengths and weaknesses.
And that's like, let's worry about the pros though, right?
Yeah.
Let's
Start with positive
let's
focus.
be positive.
Let's
Positive
be
focus.
gratitude.
Let's talk about positive
Yeah.
focus. Let's talk about the impact filter next.
Yeah.
Like, I think the impact filter is, now that I've looked at it and was messing around with it the past session, it's like, I'm going to use this for everything.
The
I'm gonna
impact
use
filter
this
is
for
my
everything.
favorite tool.
Like,
and
share
what these
about
tools
that.
are ways to get your thinking out of your head onto a document that becomes a tangible that you can look at it differently. Because every time we have a frustration or a new idea, it's kind of abstract, kind of up in the air above our head and it changes because we get a different thought or it kind of disappears because something else comes along, a new phone call or something, right? So this impact filter is the tool that you talk about what it is you want to do. Maybe it's about hiring a new receptionist.
Like, boom, that's a subject.
Boom.
That's a subject.
The thing. Your
Now you
subject
keep
is, the project is hire a new receptionist. Why? Because that receptionist will be the representation, the person in charge of first impressions. The difference it'll make, people feel welcomed and they love the energy in the room, and they'll be able to direct, and the receptionist will be able to direct them to the right people, what needs to be done. The biggest difference it'll make is it'll totally bring this energy of welcome and connection and make a difference. What are the up to 8 different criteria for it to be successful? Well, the right person has to have a great smile, right? They have to have the gift of hospitality to want to help them. Well, why don't you have a seat? Who are you looking for? I'll go see if they're doing, can I get you something to drink? Hospitality is huge. Make sure you connect them with the right person. Make sure the person they come to see knows that they're there. So they're a great communicator. You just go through the list of what has to be true for that to be successful. And then when you're talking to somebody, it's really not about task, it's about results.
Yeah.
So that changes the conversation and it gets people excited.
Well, it's fluid. too.
It
Like,
is.
Think about it. You just nailed, boom, 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 boom. You just nailed that. That's Jesus. That's a snippet. That was like, boom. That explains impact filter, right? So let's talk about positive focus too, right? Like, why is having a positive focus so important? It's not even just for business owners, but as leadership, upper management, middle management.
How
much
about if we
does
just
that?
take that down and say positivity and being grateful is a humanity thing? And we're all energy. Everything that we're around is energy. You walk into a restaurant, you can feel if the energy's good or not.
You know, if you're walking
You
into
know.
like, this is going to be awesome. This place is-
Absolutely. Or if there's low energy, you can feel it. When you do a positive focus, you're acknowledging to yourself some of the achievements that you've had. And this is a great conversation for dinner. This is a challenge. Dinner for the next week. Try this every night and see what happens and what the difference is. Everybody gets a chance to say, what went well today? Well, I had a great meeting at lunch and connected with somebody I have wanting to connect with for a long time. Why? Because I think they're a super cool person and I love the things that they're working on and I wanted to know more about it. And further progress is we scheduled an appointment to have lunch again in another 4 weeks to be able to keep that going. So that's the positive focus. You talk about what's going on, why is that important to you, and what are you going to do to keep moving that forward?
I'm looking down because like my wife just called, so if she calls again, I'm going to answer. But to this point though, it's like, we just had a talk, my wife and I, 2 days ago? Yeah. Monday, it was Monday or yesterday. And it was about Rick, because she's not in the business as much anymore. She's going to come back our boys. She's been focused on the boys, but she's like, sometimes I just want to know what's going on, whether it's good or bad, Rick.
Right.
Like it'd be nice to just, the way you just said that though, I'm going to like document that, because that is how I could share that. Like,
Yeah.
babe, I had this
But
awesome
it'll
meeting
change your
today.
relationship with your kids too.
And then the kids, Nico is now asking those questions, right? He's like, "Oh, Dad, you're going to work today again too? All right, cool. Go kill it, Dad." But he doesn't know what I do,
Right.
per se, right? But he has an idea. But if like you literally give it to them in those doses, like you just did, it's quick, easy to digest, and it explains somewhat of a good part of the day. Right?
But what's going to happen to your relationship when you hear your wife and your boys talk about what went well for them that day? This whole rotation
goes
of
all-
group
yeah, full
sharing.
circle.
We start every meeting, our first Wednesday of every month, we have about 50 people in a room. And sometimes we'll do it in small groups, the whole thing.
Okay.
It's our area managers, our customer service managers, office team, and leadership team.
So you give everybody a voice.
Everybody gets to share something that went really well for them in the past month. And that's so powerful.
Check. I got to do that.
Yeah.
Got to do that. All right. So next one, and this is one of my favorites. This is the first thing I told you that we're going to do as a team in our businesses, the gap in the gain. So I know a few people, shout out to John Disselkamp. That's one of his favorite
Love you,
books.
John.
Yeah, that's one of his favorite books. No, Rick, you got enough shout outs. Oh yeah, you did like it too, actually.
Yeah, Ricky likes the audiobook, because there's
So
like
it's an
bonus.
audio.
You listen to
It's an
it,
audio, yep.
and at the end of each chapter,
Oh.
Dan Sullivan and Ben Hardy have these bonus tips,
He's
which
pointing
is
at you.
really powerful.
He's pointing at you,
Yeah,
yeah.
we were talking about it earlier.
So-
it's very
So let's-
powerful.
What does, again, a cliff note of the gap and the gain. What are the two differences, and why was it important for Dan to create this book?
Each one of these books,
Yeah,
Who
is
Not
it-
How, Gap in the Gain, 10 times is easier than 2 times, are all about one thing: thinking. That's 6 inches between your ears, and how we process information in the mindset, and shifting, that embracing change I talk about in my book. The gap in the gain is to change the way you measure success, because we all have that ideal of what we want to achieve. And that ideal is powerful because it gives us the opportunity to create the goals or the dreams of what you want to achieve. And those are like the step stools to achieve the ideal. But the trick is that people don't realize the sleight of hands trick is the ideal shifts. It changes. What we want in our life today is very different than what we wanted 10 years ago because life has changed.
Life
the
has
world has
changed.
changed.
Yep.
When I was 16, I didn't know what an iPhone was. Nobody did. It wasn't on my list of things that I wanted. So things have changed. But what we do as human beings, we judge our success and where we're at based on where we think we should be. And it's never enough. And that always puts us into the gap thinking, which is negative. And when we're negative thinking, we can't be creative. We can't be cooperative. We can't get the things we want in our life because we're too much in the pity party, poor me, and angry and frustrated. Everything negative comes out of the gap. No good results.
are gonna come out of that.
But instead, if we take a look at where was I last quarter and where am I today and what are the gains that I've had, that builds your energy.
Yeah. 'Cause
That's
you're focused
positive.
on the small gains.
Exactly.
That starts to build up to be ultimately a big gain when you hit that milestone.
To boil it down to the simplest terms, the gap and the gain is about how you measure your success. Because if you look at the horizon and we decide, okay, let's do a group trip, let's all just drive and go to the horizon, you can never get there.
Yeah.
It's just not reality. It's like our ideal. It's out there. It gives us something to work toward, but we have to measure based on reality. You measure from where you were to where you are today, not where you are today and where you think you should be. We got to stop shoulding all over ourselves. It just doesn't work.
No. So, all right. So, Mary, I remember, and I didn't want to forget this one too, is you told me one of Dan's favorite books is The Laws of Lifetime Growth.
This is one of my favorite
Your
books.
favorite books, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And this is one of the early books that were
It's
created.
one of the very early
As you guys can
books.
see, we love books here.
Yeah,
There's a
we
lot
love
of books here.
We write books. We have clients that write books. We love sharing books with everybody because that's when things can change in our life is through conversations. And when you read a book, you're having a conversation with the book and you're thinking it, and you're processing it, and it can change the way you look at things. And this book came out in 2007, and it has some very simple laws that really make a difference. Like, always make your future bigger than your past. I mean, so many people are stuck in the past. I have somebody that I know that is in his 70s now.
Still talking about the past.
High school football was his heyday. And we all know people like that. We all know people like that. But if you keep making your future bigger, then you're not stuck in the past. No. And you have more and bigger opportunities. Because you have more to talk about for the future now. Absolutely.
Right? Okay.
Make your gratitude greater than your success. It's amazing how much more success you get when you're grateful.
Just be grateful
for the things along the way.
Yeah.
But when you're not grateful, it's like the gap thinking. You're measuring yourself on where you should be right
now. Don't measure yourself against others. Right?
Yeah.
Again, your success.
Comparison is huge.
Definition of success is different.
Yeah. So it's a simple book, easy to read. You can get it on Amazon. You can get any of these books on Amazon.
We got a lot going on here. This is again.
We got another couple hours, right?
Yeah, right. We keep it going now. It's cleaning and coffee. We're gonna need some coffee next. But so Mary, what about? All right, so let's shift a little bit to cleaning industry specific.
Okay.
You've been in the industry for a while. You've absorbed a lot, learning these learnings, and your approach is different than the average cleaning business owner. Again, I said that statistic of about 90% are smaller businesses. What kind of advice do you have for those, again, cleaning business owners in our space? They want to grow, they want to scale, they're hungry. Affordability is everything, right? Everybody thinks they can't afford, but can you share why you feel people cannot afford not to invest in themselves and make a change or learn and collaborate?
Life is difficult in itself, and we make it so much more harder than it needs to be. And when we, as business owners, regardless of how big you are, if you just started your business last week, you have to make sure you take care of yourself so you have the energy to do what needs to be done. You have to know what your customers want, not what you think they want. Make sure you get that clarity. And we want to attract great people that work for us. And you can't just say, hey, I'll pay you so much money if you just show up to work. You have to have a connection, and they know what they need to do to be successful and to help your business grow. Mm-hmm. But as a business owner, if you don't know your numbers and what you need to be able to be successful, then you're behind the 8 ball before you even start. And I see that a lot, where people don't understand all the costs that they have. And the cost is also, it's not just the cleaning tools and equipment and chemicals. It's also the different technology that you need and the team members that you have and your own time.
Yeah.
I mean, we usually sacrifice ourselves, but we have to have a quality of life too. So you have to know all those numbers. So make sure you have an accountant that specializes in small business to be able to help you with that and understand what those are.
Because numbers is everything. Right?
Numbers is everything.
Growth, I remember I was talking about this with the team too, is, what I know staff is number one.
Right.
Within your team and you're building a team. But staff almost doesn't matter if you're not selling and you don't have sales and you're not profitable.
And if you get like JANCOA, we doubled our business in 4 years through referrals, and we still don't have a sales team. Our business continues to grow through referrals. But there's the referability habits that we talk about at Strategic Coach. Show up on time, do what you say, finish what you start, always say please and thank you. Very basic, simple things, but people don't do them. And you will
do one of. Or not.
Yeah, but you'll be a differentiator and different from all your competitors just by those things. Don't go to somebody as a cold call and tell them what you can do for them. Ask them what they need. What are their frustrations with the current vendor?
Oh, that's a great.
And how you can do things differently.
Oh, Mary, that's again, something that you think is simple, but I literally am guilty of this to this day. I still try to work on that. It's, you go into this presentation, you're going into this, this is a big opportunity I'm about to win, and it jumps to, this is what we can do.
And another good thing about me
versus
is,
like, what do you need? Like, what? How can I
tell
help
you a funny story? Years ago, we were at a family dinner, and several in the business, and my son-in-law, and that was part of it, Clint. And he starts laughing. I'm like, what are you laughing at? He said, this couple sitting behind us, they must be on their first date. I just heard him say for the 5th time. And another good thing about me is, and it just reminds me of so many people in sales. You just throw up all the features and benefits and never hear one time what they want. What are their needs? What are their frustrations? How can you make their life better?
Oh,
yeah.
Again, simple, but
simple.
Just pause and make that shift.
Just ask questions and listen.
Yeah. So now, as we come into an end, right, I got a couple more points I want to talk about. Leadership. Obviously, you are a leader yourself. I could hear it. I could see it. I've seen it. I've seen you act on what you do and do what you say you're going to do. And, cleaning business owners, when they're first starting out, they may not, I didn't know how to be a leader in the beginning. I remember I told you, I didn't pump my chest when I first couple of years, I was embarrassed.
Yeah.
I was like, I went to school to be a cleaning business owner. Now, like, I don't shut up about it, right? So how can you, what are some steps people can do to build up that confidence to be a leader?
What you need to do, you need to be a leader if you're the owner. You need to have somebody to manage.
What's the difference between leader and ownership, right?
Leader, ownership, manager, sales are all different roles with different skills and abilities. But if you want to talk about leadership, we're the ones with vision. The vision of possibility that people don't see, but know with 100% faith and confidence it's possible. To be able to get other people excited about what you can do. We kept calling JANCOA the best, extraordinary service with a smile. The best cleaning company. Your building will be cleanest building in this area if you hire JANCOA, and it'll be that way consistently. One of our biggest competitors in Cincinnati, one time on a walkthrough, looked at me after we went through the restrooms, and she says, you clean this building, don't you? It was about a 250,000 square foot building. She says, you clean this building, don't you? Because they didn't say who was. And I said, yes, we do. She says, I can walk in the building, and when I walk in the restroom, I know it's done by JANCOA.
Ooh, that's a great,
She wouldn't say it on print, though. I couldn't get a video of it.
That is like the ultimate compliment.
Ultimate compliment, absolutely. But that comes from leadership. What you want it to be, and talk and act like you're already there, so other people see the vision that you see, and they're excited and they're proud to work for you. You cannot be the leader and complain and only have problems.
No.
You have to be the advocate and talk about what will be, what is, as you working through it. Yes, I know we'll take care of this. We got a call once from one of our largest buildings, and they had a big business. I think it was the buildings they had was probably 750 million square feet, 750,000 square feet. And so they're like, oh my God, they got owners coming in and they're going to be here in 2 days. And I said, hot dog, that's exciting. And they're like, Mary, you're crazy. What do you mean that's exciting? I said, this is a chance for us to show who we are, for them to see, for the owners to see. And they walked through those buildings and they came back with, these are the best buildings, the cleanest buildings we've ever seen. What do you think the property manager thought at that time? We got to make the property manager look like a hero. That's our job.
That's our job.
That's our job.
That's our job.
Get them out of the cleaning business and make them look like a hero to the owners and the tenants in the building. Don't give the tenants a reason to complain.
No.
Yeah. And don't tell them it's not my job.
Oh, it's on the scope.
Say thank you for sharing and figure a way to make it happen.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So, Mary, last question for you. Again, we can go on for a long time.
I don't get excited about this at all.
I know. So, you at JANCOA, because you shared that with me yesterday, you have transitioned.
Yes.
You have now made that transition that I've had people on the show before, and we've had people that have exited their business. You still are owner, but can you
I'm a partial owner now.
share the evolution of JANCOA, where it is evolved to the second generation successfully. And
evolved is a good word, Ricky.
Right.
Thank you for that, because it's not an easy process. And it takes leadership and it takes determination to be able to see it through and to take the time it takes. Make sure you have the right trusted advisors, but it starts with a vision too. And some of the people in our family that had one point wanted to be in the business changed their mind. So it got to the point where we had my daughter, Christy, her husband, Clint, and my brother-in-law, Ron, who's Tony's youngest brother. And they're the three that own the business now. They bought 75% of the business, so they're majority owners. We are still a woman-owned business, and Christy just got the new certification under her name, which was very, very exciting. So after 50 years, the second generation owns and runs the business, and I'm the chair of the board. And it's really exciting to see them get the attention that they deserve, and the business has been growing. They're getting more opportunities than they have in the past. And I remember a few years back when we were starting to clean a new building, the property manager was a friend that I've known for a really long time, probably over 20 years. And she sent me the text on the day we started cleaning her building. And she said, I hope you know your kids are better at this than you ever were. I said, that is the best compliment I've ever had.
That means you led them the right way.
Exactly.
Right?
And that means they know I don't need to be concerned. They know what they're doing.
In good hands.
It's in good hands.
So you're saying that I need Christy and the team on the show too.
Yeah.
I need to interview them.
You need to come to Cincinnati.
I need to come to Cincinnati. So like, I mean, talk about a great point, because what I wanted to end with too, and again, this is going to be better, Mary, is that's a perfect story of you legitimized how professional a cleaning business is. Like you didn't just give your business to your family. You sold shares. We heard the word shares. You got equity. You got board of directors. You're a chair of
you have to know the business world.
This is corporate America.
And I did not know the business world going in, but when you're ready to learn,
people would say, but you're a cleaning company. Oh,
yeah,
we are a professional business.
We are a business. But, my husband has always loved for over 50 years, if somebody's trying to sell him something and they ask him, what do you do? He'll just look at him very slowly and just say, I'm a janitor.
I'm a janitor.
And they walk away.
That's the best. That's the best. Everybody said, what do you do? I'm a janitor. Oh, okay. So you're not, It's like, no, come back and talk to me.
Exactly.
Like, I thought you wanted to tell me something.
Exactly.
Awesome. Well, Mary, thank you so much. I appreciate
thank you, Ricky.
everything.
I appreciate it.
I want to end with just, we're going to have this on YouTube. So on the bottom, we're going to share your information. So anybody wants to get in touch with Mary, I'm sure you're willing and capable of communicating. Hit her up on LinkedIn. We'll have her profile. But what did you want to, is there anything you want to leave with? We want to talk about or end with the dream manager, the dream enterprise.
Well,
but
you know
what do you want to leave the industry with right now?
I want to leave the industry with a thought about your dreams, and to the way you think about your future. I'm reimagining Dream Engineer. That was the program we started that Matthew wrote about it in the Dream Manager book, but at JANCOA, it was called the Dream Engineer. And I'm not just focusing on businesses and turnover and employee engagement, but your life and the life of the people that you care about. What has to happen for all of you to be excited about your future and to realize that we're all born with dreams? And how do we make that so you're excited about pursuing and determining? And it's like a treasure hunt to find that purpose and passion that's within your soul, and you just haven't taken the time to find it. There's only one Ricky here, and there's only one Mary Miller like me, and you are you. You're one and only. And what are your dreams? And what are you doing to figure those out? So I really would love to see people excited and start journaling and taking that time to start doing a little excavating and really determine what is it you really want with your life.
Nice.
And sometimes our job isn't our dream.
No, it opens the doors.
Cleaning toilets and mopping floors was never my purpose or passion. But when it came up to the opportunity that we could make a difference in other people's lives, that I'm all in.
Yeah.
And that makes a difference. So don't look at the task. look at the result and the impact.
Look at the impact.
The impact you have in your life, your family's life, and your teams.
Awesome.
And your customers.
Ugh.
You know, at one point, Ricky, I served on 5 boards in the community of Cincinnati, Ohio, which is not a small town. And it was all because they knew that we cared about our people and they wanted us to be on boards to help them take better care of the people in our community.
Well, I got a compliment to you. You're just not a janitor.
No.
You're not just
None of us are just janitors.
So, Mary, thank you so much.
Thank you.
This was awesome. I appreciate it. I hope everybody else that tuned in and listened in, gems, left, right. I mean, a lot of nuggets dropped here.
A lot of nuggets.
I appreciate you again. Thank you so much. You guys, thank you for tuning in for another episode of Cleaning and Cocktails. No, we're not going to have Mary speak at one of our events. Don't worry about that. We'll talk about that later. I got to throw it in. But again, thank you. Again, as always, subscribe, click like on the video, and many more to come.
And share it with others.
Share this with others. You better share this one with others. This is a good one. So thank you again, Mary. Thank you, everybody. And we'll see you in the next one.
Thank you. Dream big.